Thank you for staying with us here on THV 11 Plus for Arkansas News Now. I'm Ashley King with meteorologist Nathan Scott. And, you know, during our other broadcast on THV 11, you were showing downtown Little Rock.
Yeah.
And, well, you couldn't tell what it was. It was just such a gloomy day.
Yeah, that's because we were over 500 feet above the surface in that low ceiling of clouds. So here's what it looks like at the surface. You can see that deck of clouds lingering across the region. Also, some drizzle or mist happening for parts of the area as well. Here's visible satellite. There are some breaks in the cloud cover happening for you folks in Perry County, also in Faulkner County. That's allowed the numbers to climb up to 54. Meanwhile, we're 49 here in Little Rock, 48 in Hot Springs, 52 in Camden. And here is a close look at the radar. It's very fine droplets, so it's not picking up on every spot. There's drizzle, but where you see that light green, there could be some drizzle or mist happening. Future radar, we're going to hang on to mostly cloudy skies throughout the day with that chance of a few showers or some drizzle and mist. That will continue to be the story into tonight. And then tomorrow, the chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm, will be going up as a cold front starts to approach. Highs today, mid-50s, 60s in northwest Arkansas. Will be into the 60s, I think, for your Thursday, but it won't stick around on Friday. More on that changing forecast coming up.
Thank you, Nathan. And happening today, accused killer and Lonoke County Sheriff candidate Aaron Spencer returns to court. Today, attorneys are expected to argue pretrial motions, with the trial set to start January 26. Spencer is charged with the murder and the shooting death of a man he says sexually abused his daughter. That happened last October, and the case has since drawn national attention. Last week, Spencer launched a campaign for Lonoke County Sheriff. A conviction would disqualify him from the race. And a THV 11 update, Little Rock Ward 2 Director Ken Richardson will remain on the city's board of directors. Richardson has missed board meetings since May 2024 because of an unspecified illness. Last night, directors voted down a non-binding resolution that would have urged him to resign. Directors who opposed it said voters in Ward 2 should decide Richardson's future, not board members from other parts of the city. And President Trump is ramping up his efforts to force Venezuela's president out of power. The president has ordered a blockade of oil tankers using Venezuelan ports, taking aim at the nation's main source of revenue. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
It's the latest escalation in what's been a massive military buildup off the coast of Venezuela. President Trump announcing on social media he's ordering a, quote, total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. He called the Maduro regime illegitimate, saying the government is using oil to fund drug terrorism.
No blood for oil. No war for oil.
The president's post comes a week after the administration seized a sanctioned oil tanker that had just left port and follows at least 25 deadly strikes on alleged drug boats. Navy Admiral Frank Bradley returns to Capitol Hill today to speak to the House and Senate Armed Services Committees on the strikes as Democrats continue to question their legality.
For all of their claims that this is about drug trafficking, this is about regime change.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio briefed all members of Congress Tuesday, but some lawmakers on both sides were left questioning the administration's overall strategy.
Is it the policy to take Maduro down? It should be if it's not. And if he goes, what's going to happen next?
Their policies in the Caribbean are unclear. We don't know what the limits are. We don't know where they'll stop.
Venezuela called President Trump's latest actions a reckless and grave threat, violating international law and free trade. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, the manhunt for the Brown University shooter enters its 5th day. Authorities have released enhanced video of a person of interest walking around an area near the campus hours before the attack. Memorials have been growing for the 2 students killed in the shooting and the 9 others injured, most of whom still are in the hospital. Brown has 1,200 cameras across campus, but authorities say almost none were positioned to capture the shooter. Senator Tom Cotton is wading into the immigration debate over who can get a price break on college tuition. The Put American Students First Act would tighten enforcement of existing federal law that says states must charge out-of-state tuition to students who do not have permanent legal status. Supporters say states are losing out on an estimated $1 billion a year and is unfair to students from neighboring states who often pay higher tuition. The measure would require public colleges to verify students' immigration status annually using the federal SAVE system. And 59 years ago, Arkansas PBS made its debut. But next year, that chapter will come to a close after PBS officials reported the network faced significant financial strain. A decision was made to change direction. THV 11's Maya Ellison takes a look at what's ahead and what viewers can expect.
Shows like Arthur, Clifford, and even Sesame Street. Yeah, those shows sound familiar, and if you're anything like me, then you grew up on those shows. It's a part of our childhood, and they were all on PBS. Well, soon, many of those shows, as well as the new ones, won't be on your TV the same way they've been for decades. As Arkansas PBS is rebranding, I've learned that while the name and the programs are changing, station leaders tell me the one thing that remains is the mission.
We now have the ability to bring in a focus on our natural state, on Arkansas TV.
Executive Director Carlton Wing says keeping that local focus was key when the decision was made to disaffiliate from PBS. The newly named Arkansas TV brings an end to a 59-year legacy.
In July, when the federal funding was stopped through the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, that was a huge financial hit for our station. It was $2.5 million, which is 20% of our overall budget.
Back in September, CBS News reported more than $1 billion in public broadcasting funding was eliminated nationwide. Wing says staying with PBS would have left the station in financial limbo.
Would it be safe to say that this decision was more about ensuring the survival of you all rather than honestly letting things fizzle out?
Absolutely. What a lot of people don't understand is the dire financial situation that this station was in without that federal funding. We would be bankrupt within about 2 years. So we had to make a decision. Do we survive or do we adapt and overcome?
Arkansas PBS is home to more than 70 programs. And while many Arkansans question what's staying and what's going, Wing cleared up the speculations.
And for people who still want to see specific programs that they've come to know on PBS, those are still available. They just won't be available on our over-the-air broadcast. But we'll have documentaries, we'll have movies, we'll have education, we'll have all of that. It'll just be different titles.
Now for Arkansas, it's the first state to cut ties with PBS. But as I learned, officials say it may not be the last.
There are many other states that are headed down the same path financially, and so everybody is going to have to address how do we move forward based on the funding structure changing.
In Conway, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
And a quick reminder, happening tonight, Hanukkah moves into the fourth night of celebration. Tonight's festivities in Little Rock begin with the traditional menorah lighting at the corner of Chenal and Bowman in West Little Rock. Governor Sanders is to be there for the occasion. The grand menorah lighting starts at 6:15. And still ahead, from heartbreak to hope, how a veteran living in his van found a lifeline in the most unexpected way. That story is coming up next.
And looking ahead as we say goodbye to the fall season and head into the official start of winter, which happens on Sunday. Notice your mornings ahead are pretty much going to stay above freezing, with the exception on Friday. A warming trend continues into Christmas week. I'll have a good look at what you can expect for next week coming up.
When he arrived at this Harris Teeter in Bristow, Virginia, veteran Joseph George could call it a low point, but even that would be an understatement.
To know that I was sleeping on this lot in my van, I didn't know a soul.
Joseph had just lost his St. Louis home to a fire and his son to a murder in the same day.
My baby son had told me, he said, Daddy, he said, I heard that they help veterans out a lot in D.C. Then I don't want to lose you.
Joseph drove his van hundreds of miles to this parking lot where he lived for weeks. Then one day, a stranger approached his car.
and he asked me, had I ever heard of this group called Volunteers of America? And I told him no.
Joseph called the nonprofit in hopes of getting help, but with no Virginia driver's license and no permanent address, he had no luck. That's when he hung up the phone and says he heard a whisper from God.
He said, call back. He said, whoever answered the phone, don't try to explain nothing, don't ask no questions. I want you to just start singing.
And so Joseph called back and sang.
Jesus, you're the center of my joy. All that's good and perfect comes from you.
What happened next changed the course of his life.
And she said, guess what? I was like, what? She said, now you have an address.
When you first heard that voice, what was going through your mind?
I thought, man, incredible. What a gift. What a gift.
Lisa Snyder didn't pick up that initial call, but works as a vice president at Volunteers of America. The organization provides safe housing to tens of thousands of vets, seniors, and families. The staff here vowed to help Joseph regardless of his circumstances.
I think it talks a little bit about just the human connection.
Boy, you be making all that noise.
They were able to get Joseph into a permanent home.
I can only say I'm grateful.
And with a home, Joseph was able to continue his career in music. He's since booked singing gigs all across America. None of it, he says, would be possible without that first call.
You know, without all those pieces coming together, then we don't get to see this huge, amazing portrait.
Hey, beautiful.
How are you?
I'm okay.
At our request, Joseph recently returned to Volunteers of America.
Thank you all so much.
And then he did what he does best.
Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe to help to make the season bright.
A voice he now uses to lift others, thanks to those who lifted him.
I'm so excited. I don't know what to do because my entire life has changed.
Thank you for the blessing.
Oh, you so
I needed that.
Certainly some talent right there. Well, we are only 8 days away from Christmas, and I went back to the record books to take a look at some Christmas statistics, if I could say that. This is when we are looking at here the highs on Christmas Day recorded since 1879, over the past 145 years. The coldest Christmas on record, 12 degrees, that was the high back in 1983. The warmest one, 78, just back in 2021. And you see the range primarily is between 46 and 59 degrees. We've had 59 years where the Christmas Day highs have fallen in that range. This year, though, I think we're going to be definitely in the 60s, but we could get into the 70s, and that's only happened 6 times since recorded history at Little Rock. Here's what the picture looks like right now. Christmas Eve, 66, 68 on Christmas Day, but we may have to bump that up into the 70s. Looking at more and more information, our confidence is going up. There's going to be some 70s on the board getting into Christmas Day here in Arkansas. 3-day forecast. Today, 54 if we're lucky. A lot of locations I think could be stuck around 50 degrees for the high. With a few showers or some areas of drizzle and mist. Up to 65 on Thursday, ahead of a cold front, bringing us around in scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder. And behind that front, it does cool back down right around 50 to close out the work week. Future radar, here is the clouds in place. There could be a few breaks late tonight, but overall, the chance of a few showers or some areas of patchy drizzle will continue to be the case. The front rolls its way through central Arkansas. Later Thursday morning, early Thursday afternoon, ahead of the front, temperatures should be able to bounce up into the low, possibly mid-60s. This is a fast-moving system. It's out of here by Thursday afternoon, around 3 or 4 o'clock across the state, and we'll see rapid clearing behind the system, and temperatures will be able to drop down into the upper 20s to lower 30s to begin your Friday. Winds, they will pick up, so make sure those Christmas decorations are secure because we'll see the winds come in from the southwest Thursday morning, about 15 to 25 miles per hour. But for the afternoon hours, those winds will switch over to the west, potentially northwest, and could be gusting 25 to as high as 30 miles per hour in some locations. There's your high forecast on your Friday. Temperatures a little bit cooler behind the front, but nothing too sharp. Then we're back up into the 60s on Saturday. Another front will swing its way through here later Saturday night into Sunday. Knocks the numbers down into the 50s, but that's still above average. Tonight, spotty showers, some drizzle, patchy fog. Some of that fog could become locally dense. 52 will be the low. Tomorrow, 65 with a chance of scattered showers, maybe a storm. Very slim chance there could be a storm that tries to produce some gusty winds. Your Saturday forecast, 20% chance of rain for the first day of winter on Sunday. Will feature a high of 57, and then 60s return going into next week, and it does include Christmas Eve and potentially 70s on the board as we go into Christmas Day.
All right, Nathan, thank you. And college students are developing ways to use artificial intelligence to help tackle hunger. The students hope their AI project will connect members of the public in need of food services with food pantries that can help. Natalie Brandt got a look at how it works.
When demand for help surges, so do the calls into the Hunger Lifeline.
Good morning, Capital Area Food Bank, Hunger Lifeline. How may I help you?
But the phone is only staffed 9 to 5, a problem the Capital Area Food Bank in Washington, D.C. took to the University of Maryland.
The way that they presented this challenge, like, hey, we have this hotline, but we know there's limitations, and is there a way that we can leverage AI in order to make this something that's more accessible to people in the broader DMV?
Arden Lawson, Amira Abujama, and Swara Fidiahara teamed up to create a solution.
Thanks for calling the Capital Area Food Bank. I'll be your assistant today. How can I help?
They programmed a voice bot that responds to hundreds of different scenarios in 36 languages,
Me donner votre adresse ou votre quartier.
quickly connecting callers to the food bank's extended network.
Can you please share the address or neighborhood where you are so I can find the closest options?
The voice agent was warm and effective, and it just felt like exactly what we needed.
Sabrina Tadele, the food bank's director of strategic initiatives, says she hopes to bring the students on as interns to put the project into practice.
What it really comes down to is shortening the response time for so many people who need to figure out something maybe immediately to help put food on the table.
This work hits close to home for Amira and Swarov, who say they grew up in communities with high rates of food insecurity.
We have these resources out there that can help them because food is a human right. Everyone deserves access to a good, healthy lifestyle.
I know how hard it can be for people to ask for help. So for me, this is very important in just helping with the operational efficiency of a food bank, but also just making people's lives a little bit easier.
Using new technology and their computer science skills with a mission to serve others. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, College Park, Maryland.
Well, many were calling last night's game a trap game for the Razorbacks against a lesser opponent sandwiched in between two big-time games from last weekend and this weekend. We'll see if the Razorbacks can take care of business against Queens next in sports.
The THV 11 Sports Desk, sponsored by your Central Arkansas Hyundai dealer.
Well, the Hoop Hogs got a big win last Saturday night. They've got another big game this Saturday, but in between the two, a home non-conference game against Queens last night. The Razorbacks favored to win by 25 points. They actually started down 5-0, but that changed pretty quickly. Darius Acuff to Carter Knox. He finishes it. Acuff a couple minutes later, driving, kicking. Check out the ball movement from the Razorbacks. They get to their guy, Trevin Brazil. He sinks the tray. Arkansas would lead 15-9. They did a great job converting defense to offense. 13 steals for the Razorbacks. It was another team effort, but it was one guy in particular. You see him there, Trevin Brazil, picking up where he left off. 26 points for the senior. Why not cap it off with a windmill dunk? The Razorbacks take care of business at home. They win 108-80. They'll get Houston on Saturday. All right, to the football world, the Razorbacks made it official yesterday with the hiring of their offensive, defensive, and special teams coordinators. A quick review on each of them, starting with Arkansas's new OC, Tim Cramsey, who has been with Coach Silverfield calling plays for Memphis the past 4 seasons. He doesn't have any Power 4 coaching experience, but he did lead the Tigers to be a top 25 offense the past 4 seasons. On the defensive side of the ball, the Razorbacks get a guy with a lot of Power 4 experience. Ron Roberts has been the DC at Florida, Auburn, and Baylor. Statistically, his teams are known for something Arkansas has struggled with recently, that is forcing turnovers. And finally, Chad Lunsford will be the new special teams coordinator. Lunsford held the same position this past season at Auburn with a good amount of success. He was the head coach at Georgia Southern for a few seasons and seems to be maybe most skilled at recruiting players. And also last night in the basketball world, the Little Rock women got the win at Morehead State. The men did not. We've got more basketball action tonight. Lady Razorbacks, UCA men and women, A-State men and women. We'll talk about those and have highlights of all of those coming up tonight.
It's been a blessing to see how excited they are. And like you mentioned, some kids may not get this at home, and you know, this is their only chance to see Christmas, so it's exciting.
Rosebud Elementary didn't just decorate for Christmas, they went all in. Teachers and students created a hallway decorating contest, and they took it very seriously. First place went to the second graders who turned their hallway into Candy Cane Lane. You can see the full story from our Brooke Buckner right now on thv11.com. But yeah, congratulations to them.
Yeah, they need to take the inspiration from that and head out to town, Rosebud, and maybe decorate the town as well.
That's right.
Hopefully this spreads like wildfire. Get a lot of schools involved. That's some very creative ideas.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot of fun for those kiddos walking those hallways to see it all decorated and puts everyone in a good mood.
Yeah, maybe not so much, hey, we have to study and learn things right now, but
yeah,
certainly a positive thing happening. All right, well, let's talk about your 7-day forecast because it may not look so positive if you are a fan of colder weather for Christmas. Yeah, not in the cards. Temperatures, the coldest number I have for you, Friday. Temperature starting out to upper 20s, low 30s, warming up to 50 degrees, but 60s tomorrow. We'll see 60s on Saturday, a little bit cooler on Sunday, first day of winter, and then we're back up well above average, unseasonably warm Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, 60s, maybe 70s.
All right. Thank you for joining us today on Arkansas News Now, and make sure you keep it here on THV 11 Plus. We've got some more great programming on the way.